Hey there! Welcome to the next episode of Rambling with the Pastor. Yesterday, we were talking about the unspeakable gift. Today's name for God, Lamb of God, name for Jesus, kind of tags on that unspeakable gift. Now, it's only been recently that I saw the deeper meaning in this, because when I thought of Lamb of God, I thought of a cute little sweet lamb. You know, the kind we see around springtime, frolicking through flowers. This is not the image that John's people, he's at the river baptizing people. They didn't picture a cute lamb. They pictured the temple sacrifice, the lamb that was slain and then burnt for their sins. It had to be perfect. It had to be unblemished. This guy would not make a good sacrifice because his leg's coming off. I need to sew that back on. That's why he's in my sewing room. Jesus is described as without sin, without blemish. It was this kind of sacrifice that they needed. There were 3 types. I got to spend some time in Leviticus learning a little bit more about this. There was the burnt offering. And this one, the person or people representing the sin would put their hands on the animal, and it was symbolizing like a transference. So then when this animal was killed and put on fire, and the smoke rose up, it was like we were also rising up to be in God's throne room in heaven at the same time. This one was burnt until there was nothing left. And that one was for peace or reconciliation. So we want to be reconciled to God. Then you have the sin offering, and that was offered as a cleansing. And we all sin every day, many times a day, many times a minute sometimes. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know. And the sin offering was slain inside the temple courts, but then it was burnt outside of the camp. And this one stood for cleansing. The temple priests would use that blood and sprinkle it on the golden candle menorah that was there, the golden altar. It's how they cleaned the temple. Just roll with it. I know it doesn't sound clean. And then you had the guilt offering, and that was a need to pay someone back. So in our sin, we need to pay God back. We've offended them. We've done something. We do this with our friendships and our family. If we make a mistake, we say, I'm sorry. If we break something, we replace it, buy a new one, or fix it. The guilt offering was making things right. So when you combine all 3 of those together, you get Jesus, the Lamb of God. The Lamb that was slain, that rose again, and is now seated at the right hand of the Father. And you can see glimpses of that Lamb in the book of Revelation. So their idea would go straight to the Passover lamb, the temple sacrifices, and through Jesus's death, he satisfies all 3 of those offerings. The peace and reconciliation between God and mankind, the cleansing of our sin, it says we'll be made white as snow, and then the restitution or the restoration, making things right. It satisfies my debt to God. It gives me peace with God, and that sacrifice cleanses me. Whew, that one went pretty deep, pretty quick. So as you learn a little bit more about Jesus and this character, I hope you have a lot of fun picturing what that might mean and what the ancient Israelite or the modern Torah following Israelites would see in the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. Thanks. That one ran a bit longer. I love you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.